Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about this new phenomenon that is called The Circle, and it is on Netflix. I've watched all of the US version that is available, and I have watched the 8 episodes that, to my knowledge, are the only ones available of The Circle Brazil. I know there's a UK version, which I believe is the original, but I don't think it's on Netflix, and I can't find a caption version of it. If you know of a caption version of it, please let me know because I really want to see it. And I'm not just gonna talk about The Circle. I want to talk about what I imagine it would be like if a deaf person, aka me because I really want to be on the show, were to be on The Circle. And if you are a Circle fan, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any uploads. I might want to talk about the show more in the future. Who knows? Also, if you'd like to support the content, be sure to pledge on Patreon, or you can join the channel as a channel member. Both do very well at supporting creators, but they both have different perks. Now, I'm not going to try to give any spoilers or anything, at least for Brazil, but for those of you who do not know what The Circle is, basically you have, I believe, you start out with 8 people, and they're in their own separate private apartments in England. All of it's filmed in England, no matter what country is going to be on the subtitle of the title. And nobody knows who each other really is. All 8 people are going to be as anonymous or as genuine as they wish to be. They set up social media profiles. They put up whatever photos they want. It could be of themselves, or they might be a catfish. We've had some women pretending to be men and men pretending to be women. So you just never know what you're really gonna get. And every episode, or every other episode, depending on how they edit it out, everybody will rate each other, and the top 2 people become the influencers for the episode, and the very first person obviously is like the main winner. And then whoever is either the lowest rating or whoever the influencers decide to block will be blocked until there is one remaining winner. You won't hear anybody's voice, and you won't see anybody's face in real time, except for when the blocked person will create a goodbye message. Speaking of which, why did Miranda from the American version never get a goodbye message? That frustrates me so much. Did I miss it? Like, what happened? So it's a cool little kind of game show that's on. You know, when it originally came out and everybody was freaking out over it, I didn't really think I would be interested in it. And then I gave it a shot, and I am so hooked. And I thought, what would happen if a disabled person, or more specifically a deaf person, since that's what I mostly am, what would happen if we were on the show and I took some notes and I had some questions? So how people communicate here, since you don't actually type anything down with like a smartphone, you don't have your phone, you're completely blocked off from the outside world. So you would have a little microphone, and it's like Siri. The Circle is like Siri, and you would basically, hey Circle, send this message and things like that. So an oral deaf person, which would be me, I am mostly oral because that's how I grew up and that's how I'm used to. I would not really have an issue with using voice to text, but I wonder how well it would work, because when I use my Apple Watch to text people sometimes, or you know, I put it into the big app, things like that, most of the time it works out okay. However, for other like live caption things, like on Twitch for example, it does not work for me. It writes the most absurd, nonsensical things, and has even been really bad with like racist words that I did not say. So that's what makes me wonder. And you've seen videos of other YouTubers like Cheyenne Clearbook and Jazzy, who have made videos trying to see if Siri would understand our voices, and it didn't really work out too well. But those 2 YouTubers, those 2 deaf women, are signers primarily. But also Chrissy has done a video, and I don't remember how that turned out. So yeah, I just wonder, as a just in case type of thing, would the show provide a smartphone for that type of purpose, or maybe like a smart keyboard? That actually might work better, and it would be following the rules of being blocked from the outside world. You would just have a smart keyboard, so then it would connect to the TV, right? Which brings me to my next question. If it was a signing deaf person, that would definitely change the game a little bit as far as how the deaf contestant would be involved. Because I don't think the sign language gloves are going to work too well. They don't work too well in real life, and they're probably not going to work too well in this scenario, right? But I mean, a smart keyboard is really easy to find. Just buy one from Apple or any other tech company, right? But it would just be really cool to see that. And it would definitely bring a more interesting, or at least a unique thing into the game, because everybody's all talking and blah blah blah, everybody's hearing and able to my knowledge, so yes, it'd be really cool to see different ways of communication. So when players are blocked, they do, except for Miranda apparently, they do get to send out a goodbye message, and this is where the game gets really interesting at times, because if they're a catfish, everybody's freaking out, and if they're not a catfish, well, some people freak out because they were so sure that these people were catfishes and they end up not being so. None of these videos are actually captioned in the show. If you watch it on Netflix, it's captioned, but I mean, like, when you're in the apartments, they're not captioned. So I imagine that they would have to caption the video if you have a deaf contestant in there. So if you had a signing deaf person, you would definitely have to find an interpreter, I think, and then have it displayed in a little corner, because I don't think they're going to bring in an interpreter to, well, they could bring an interpreter into the goodbye messaging room. At the same time, you don't really need to. You could just put it in a little corner, like right over here, right? It would be really cool, I imagine, if a signing deaf person, or if it was me, even if I decided to go voiced out for the show, would catfish as like a hearing person, not necessarily really catfish as a hearing person, maybe you just never mention it at all. But then all of a sudden, you just pop up, and then there's the interpreter voicing, and everybody's gonna be like flipping out. I mean, they flip out over everything else. Why not flip out over this? That would be a cool little surprise, I think. Be like, surprise, but you weren't expecting this, right? Although people might maybe think something is up if all the stuff was captioned, or if it was captioned video, maybe they would only caption it on the deaf contestants' TV and not for all of them. If it was hard-coded, then maybe everyone would see. I don't know. I wonder how they would make that work. And then my last question is going to be, where do I sign up? Because I really want to. I think that would be a cool experience. One, you get to travel to England, and two, you know, I already work in social media, so is that an advantage? Is it not? So with that all being said, I want to discuss my favorites on the circle, both the American and Brazil version. I really loved Sammy and Joey the most on the American version. Joey did not win me over in the beginning. I really didn't like him. And then, you know, once we got to about the middle of the show, I want to say something about him just really made me happy that he got to where he was. And yeah, overall, he just made me really happy. And Sammy was always one of my favorites from the beginning. In terms of Brazil, I really like Gable, but my other favorites would have to be Lorraine. I think Lorraine's been my favorite from the very beginning, and Marina. I kind of like Dumaresque, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I don't know. And is it just me, or is the circle trying to almost make Akel be like the next Joey, but it's not really going all that well for me? Like, I don't see it. I mean, that could possibly change, but I don't really see it, and I kind of always forget that Akel is there. And in terms of people that I don't really care too much for, on the American version, the only guy, I can't even remember his name, but he was let go earlier from the show. I think he was the guy that was really into Mercedes. That was the guy that I didn't really care for too much. And in Brazil, I really don't care too much for JP. JP and Akel, those are the two that I'm kind of like, what you did about. And Lucas, who was just kind of there, and I never really noticed him, so I never really got too much of an opinion on him, just because he was just kind of, you didn't really notice him. He never really stood out anyways, right? So yeah, let me know who you like on the show and who you don't really care for on the show. I just really want to talk about this because I'm so invested into the show. Yeah, I hope that was a fun little video for you. Please consider sharing this video. That'll really help out with the growth of this video and the channel as a whole. If you would like to translate this video, I will have a translation link down below in the description box, and there's a whole bunch of other good info down there as well. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you later.